Have you ever stopped to think about how ancient wisdom is being repackaged and sold in our hyper-connected world? I mean, really pause to consider how philosophies that were born centuries ago are now trending topics on your social media feeds. It's quite fascinating, isn't it? Today, I invite you to join me on a journey, a deep dive into a topic that is as relevant as it is complex: the curious case of Stoicism in the digital age. Now, before we get ahead of ourselves, let's clarify something. This isn't about discarding ancient philosophies. Far from it. Think of this more as a critical exploration, an invitation to examine how and why certain ideas gain traction in our modern world, and perhaps more importantly, how they sometimes lose their essence in translation. The core of our discussion today is Stoicism, a school of philosophy that originated in ancient Greece and flourished in Rome. You might have heard names like Seneca, Epictetus, or Marcus Aurelius, right? These were some of the key figures who shaped Stoic thought. But what was Stoicism really about in its original context? At its heart, Stoicism was a philosophy centered on virtue, reason, and living in harmony with nature, which the Stoics referred to as logos. The Stoics believed that we can't control external events, but we can control our reactions to them. They strived for apatheia, which doesn't mean apathy as we understand it today, but rather a state of tranquility achieved through understanding the natural order and focusing on what truly matters: our own virtuous actions. It is essential to know that the ultimate goal was not material success or external validation, but inner peace and resilience in the face of life's challenges. Fast forward to today, and Stoicism is experiencing a renaissance. But here's where it gets interesting and perhaps a bit concerning. The version of Stoicism that is gaining popularity, often promoted by self-help gurus, digital influencers, and simplified self-help books, is in many ways a distortion of its original philosophy. It's become less about achieving a virtuous life and more about a toolkit for personal success, productivity, and emotional detachment. It's being marketed as a life hack, a quick fix for the stresses of modern life, and it's often stripped of its deeper philosophical underpinnings, becoming a collection of techniques rather than a complete way of life. Think about it. Have you ever seen those social media posts or articles promising that Stoicism can help you achieve success, boost your productivity, or become emotionally invincible? That's what I'm talking about. This modern popularized version of Stoicism often focuses on individual empowerment, resilience, and a kind of detached rationality, often overlooking the equally important aspects of justice, social responsibility, and the interconnectedness of humanity that were central to classical Stoic thought. This modern interpretation is often reduced to mere mindfulness exercises or productivity hacks. Imagine reducing the profound wisdom of Marcus Aurelius's Meditations to a set of tips for maximizing your efficiency. It's a bit like using a powerful telescope to look at your smartphone, isn't it? You are missing the vastness of the universe it was designed to explore. Now let's delve a bit deeper into one intriguing aspect of this phenomenon: the concept of time. In the ancient world, particularly for the elites who had the luxury to engage in philosophical pursuits, time was viewed quite differently than it is today. They had more control over their time, more freedom to dedicate themselves to reflection and self-improvement. Stoicism, in that context, was a philosophy that required time for introspection, for study, for cultivating virtue. Today, however, time has become a scarce commodity. We live in a world of constant demands, distractions, and pressures, where even our leisure time is often scheduled and optimized. Our society has become so obsessed with productivity that we find ourselves constantly rushing, always striving to do more in less time. Many of us feel like we're constantly running on a treadmill, always busy but never truly getting ahead. It is not surprising, then, that a philosophy that promises to help us regain control over our lives, to find peace amidst the chaos, would be so appealing. But the question remains: are we truly understanding and applying Stoicism in a way that honors its original intent? Or are we simply grasping at another quick fix to cope with the pressures of modern life? The irony is that the very lack of time in our modern lives makes it harder to engage with Stoicism in a meaningful way. We are attracted to its promise of control and tranquility, but we often lack the time and space to truly understand and practice it in its fullness. And this brings us to another crucial point: the role of digital marketing and the online culture in shaping our perception of Stoicism. Let's be honest, the internet is a powerful force in our lives. It shapes our opinions, influences our choices, and even dictates what we deem valuable. In this digital landscape, where attention is the most valuable currency, complex ideas are often simplified and packaged into easily digestible content. Think about it. Bite-sized quotes, catchy slogans, and visually appealing graphics are more likely to go viral than lengthy philosophical treatises, isn't it? This creates an environment where a philosophy like Stoicism can be easily stripped of its nuance and depth, becoming just another product to be marketed and consumed. Influencers and marketers have seized upon this opportunity, promoting a version of Stoicism that is palatable, marketable, and most importantly, profitable. The problem is that this commercially driven version of Stoicism often prioritizes individual achievement and emotional detachment over the core Stoic values of virtue, justice, and social responsibility. It's more about achieving personal success and less about contributing to the greater good. It's become a tool for self-optimization rather than a path toward a more meaningful and virtuous life. This is a far cry from the Stoicism of Marcus Aurelius, who, as emperor, saw his philosophical practice as intimately connected to his duty to serve his people. For him, Stoicism wasn't about personal gain, but about fulfilling his role in society with wisdom and justice. Now, it is interesting to compare Stoicism with another ancient philosophical school, Epicureanism. While both sought a form of tranquility, they approached it from different angles. Epicureanism, often misunderstood as mere hedonism, emphasized the pursuit of pleasure, but of a refined and sustainable kind, the absence of pain and fear. Epicurus recognized the transience of life and sought to maximize genuine well-being within that limited time frame. It is essential to understand that Epicurus did not advocate for a life of unrestrained indulgence, but rather for a mindful and moderate approach to pleasure. Stoicism, on the other hand, focused on accepting what we cannot control and finding peace through virtue and reason, even in the face of suffering. Here is a key difference in how these philosophies relate to the concept of nothingness or the void. Epicureanism acknowledged the finite nature of life and sought to make the most of it, free from the fear of death, which they saw as simply a return to non-existence, a state without sensation or suffering. Stoicism, while also recognizing the impermanence of things, found meaning not in escaping the void, but in living virtuously within the natural order, understanding that our individual lives are part of a larger cosmic tapestry. In a way, you could say that Epicureanism sought to find peace despite the void, while Stoicism found peace within the grand scheme of which the void is a part. But let's circle back to our main concern. We need to address the elephant in the room: the pervasive idea that embracing Stoicism automatically leads to success, particularly in the material sense. This is one of the most misleading aspects of the modern, distorted version of this ancient philosophy. Nowhere in the original Stoic texts will you find a guarantee of wealth, fame, or worldly power. The Stoics were not concerned with external validation or material possessions. Their focus was inward, on cultivating inner strength, wisdom, and virtue. They believed that true happiness, or eudaimonia, comes not from external circumstances, but from living in accordance with nature and reason. So where does this misconception come from? It likely stems from a combination of factors, including the misinterpretation of Stoic principles, the influence of the self-help industry, and the pervasive cultural narrative that equates success with material wealth and status. In our achievement-obsessed society, it's easy to see how a philosophy that emphasizes self-control and resilience could be twisted into a tool for achieving worldly success. But this is a fundamental misunderstanding of Stoicism's core tenets. What is truly essential to understand is the distinction between what is within our control and what is not. This is a cornerstone of Stoic philosophy. We cannot control external events, such as the actions of others, the fluctuations of the market, or the whims of fate. But we can control our responses to these events, our judgments and our actions. This is where our true power lies, according to the Stoics. Our thoughts, our judgments, our values, these are the things that are truly within our power. We can choose to react with anger, frustration, or despair, or we can choose to respond with reason, patience, and acceptance. This is the essence of Stoic wisdom. It's not about suppressing emotions, but about understanding them, managing them, and choosing to act in accordance with virtue, regardless of external circumstances. However, in the hands of marketers and self-proclaimed gurus, this powerful concept of internal control has been twisted and manipulated. It is being used to sell books, courses, and seminars that promise to teach you how to hack your mind and achieve ultimate control over your life, often with the underlying implication that this control will lead to material success. This is where the ethical lines start to blur. Are these modern-day Stoic advocates genuinely trying to help people live better lives, or are they simply exploiting a popular trend for personal gain? Are they promoting a philosophy of inner peace and virtue, or are they selling a false promise of success and happiness through the mastery of Stoic techniques? This is not to say that Stoicism cannot be a valuable tool for navigating the challenges of modern life. It absolutely can, but it requires a genuine understanding of its principles, a willingness to engage with its complexities, and a commitment to applying it authentically in our daily lives. It's not a quick fix or a shortcut to success. It's a lifelong journey of self-discovery, self-improvement, and striving to live in accordance with virtue and reason. It's about cultivating inner peace, not accumulating external rewards. So what is the solution? How can we reclaim Stoicism from the clutches of commercial exploitation and rediscover its true essence? I believe the answer lies in returning to the source. We need to go back to the original texts, to the writings of Seneca, Epictetus, and Marcus Aurelius. We need to engage with their ideas directly, without the filter of modern interpretations and marketing agendas. We should study, not just read. We should read Epictetus's Enchiridion, for example, and contemplate his words on focusing on what we can control. We should study Seneca's letters and learn from his wisdom on dealing with adversity and living a virtuous life. We should immerse ourselves in Marcus Aurelius's meditations and reflect on his insights on self-awareness, duty, and the nature of the universe. Of course, simply reading these texts is not enough. We need to actively engage with them, to reflect on their meaning and to apply their principles in our own lives. We need to ask ourselves difficult questions. What does it truly mean to live a virtuous life in the 21st century? How can we cultivate inner peace in a world that is constantly bombarding us with distractions and demands? How can we use Stoic principles to navigate the challenges of our time, not just for our personal benefit, but for the greater good? How can we use this philosophy to be more present, more compassionate, more connected to others and to the world around us? This is a journey that requires time, effort, and a willingness to confront our own biases and assumptions. It's not about finding easy answers, but about embracing the complexity of life and striving to live with intention and purpose. It requires us to be critical consumers of information, to question the narratives that are presented to us, and to seek out knowledge from reliable sources. This brings us to a critical point in our discussion. How can you, in your own life, begin to differentiate between the genuine wisdom of Stoicism and its modern, often distorted counterpart? How can you cultivate a practice that is both authentic and relevant to your own unique circumstances? Let's explore this together. Let's think critically about the information we consume and ask ourselves, does this align with the core principles of Stoicism as articulated by its founders, or does it seem more focused on personal gain and superficial success? Does this approach encourage a deeper understanding of virtue, reason, and living in harmony with nature? Or is it simply offering a set of techniques for managing stress and boosting productivity? Ultimately, the value of any philosophy lies in its application. It's not enough to simply understand the concepts intellectually. We must strive to embody them in our daily lives. This means making conscious choices about how we spend our time, how we interact with others, and how we respond to the challenges that life throws our way. It means cultivating self-awareness, practicing empathy, and striving to live with integrity. Think of it this way. Stoicism, at its core, is about recognizing that we are part of something larger than ourselves, a vast and interconnected universe governed by natural laws. It's about finding our place within that order and living in harmony with it. It is not just about personal well-being, but also about fulfilling our duties to others and contributing to the common good. It's about recognizing that true happiness comes not from external circumstances, but from within, from living a life of virtue and purpose. It's about understanding that we are all interconnected and that our actions have consequences, not just for ourselves, but for the world around us. This journey of understanding and applying Stoicism is a deeply personal one. There's no one-size-fits-all approach. What resonates with you might be different from what resonates with someone else. The key is to approach it with an open mind, a critical eye, and a genuine desire to learn and grow. It is important to remember that the path of self-improvement is not a linear one. There will be setbacks, challenges, and moments of doubt. But it is through these very difficulties that we learn and grow the most. In closing, let's return to where we began. The question of how ancient wisdom is being reshaped in our digital age. What I hope you take away from this is not a condemnation of modern interpretations of Stoicism, but rather an invitation to engage with this philosophy more deeply and critically. An invitation to go beyond the surface level, beyond the catchy slogans and the self-help cliches, and to explore the profound wisdom that lies at the heart of this ancient tradition. The journey of understanding Stoicism, like any worthwhile pursuit, is a lifelong endeavor. It requires patience, dedication, and a willingness to confront uncomfortable truths about ourselves and the world around us. But the rewards are immeasurable. By embracing the true spirit of Stoicism, we can cultivate inner peace, resilience, and a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe. We can learn to live with greater intention, purpose, and virtue, not just for our own benefit, but for the benefit of all. And perhaps, just perhaps, that is the most valuable lesson that Stoicism, in any age, can teach us. Now, go forth and reflect on these ideas and consider how you can apply them to your own life, to your own journey, to your own pursuit of a more meaningful and fulfilling existence. The path is open. The choice, as always, is yours.